Hey guys, it's JK Wargames, and today we're going to have a look at how to play Spitfire, the Fight for Air Supremacy, a roll and write solitaire wargame designed by myself. So there's been quite a bit of interest over this, and I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about the book, and then I'll show you how the game works. So if we look inside the book, you can see it's laid out very clearly, and it gets straight into the rules. Tiny introduction, and then we're straight into the rules. This is not a hard game to learn, and you're looking there. That's your rules. So very short rules. You've got 10 missions to try and complete, and the ultimate aim of the game is to reduce German bomber production, but you need to stop German bombers, Stukas or Heinkel 111s from reaching British airfields. So as you can see, the first mission says intercept bombers over Biggin Hill in Zone 4. To complete the mission, we must get back to Zone 1. So we've got to intercept those bombers in Zone 4, try and take down as many as we can, and then get back to Zone 1 while trying to keep our Spitfire intact. Then we get an example of play here. So this is the play sheet, and this is the combat chart, and you're going to be using both of these while playing the game. Here is another example. This shows what the player would write down in the boxes. And then we get our sequence of play, which is we roll action dice, we roll for weather in the zone, event checks, carry out any events, and then combat sequence. So let's flip the page. This is where we play. So we've got a combat chart and our play sheet. So what we're going to do is I'll show you how the game plays. So to start with, the first thing I do for the mission is mark that my Spitfire is in Zone 1. So I'm simply going to write S in Zone 1. So we know the Spitfire is in Zone 1. The next thing we do is roll 5 action dice. So we get ourselves 5d6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to roll these action dice and then consult the chart, and we can potentially do actions with these dice. So I'm going to roll them. I've rolled them there. We've got 3 6s. We've got 1 3 and 1 1. The next thing we do is check weather in the zone. So we're going to roll 1d6. I rolled a 5. So that is light cloud. So there's going to be a +1 when enemy fighters attack us. Okay, the next thing we need to do is roll an event check. So I'm going to roll 2d6 and then consult the event check chart. So here we go. We've rolled 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I know that that is going to be enemy fighters. So enemy fighters are going to attack us in Zone 1. Now, enemy fighters come in the form of a Messerschmitt 109. So what we need to do is roll to see the pilot's skill. Of the German fighter pilot's skill. So we're going to roll 1d6 and it's a 1. That means he's green. So in that sense, he has no modifiers. If he was a veteran, he gets a +1 dice roll modifier. If he's an ace, he gets a +2 dice roll modifier. So as we've got fighters coming in, we mark in Zone 1 in the long range box that it's an ME 109. So I'm simply going to write ME 109, and his defense is 7, so I put a 7 there. If we had a veteran or an ace, we would mark that as well. Now as soon as a German fighter comes in, they roll 3d6 to attack us. Any 4 pluses will cause a hit, but we have that light cloud, so it's going to be 5. So any of these 5s are going to cause a hit. We roll and we score a 5 and a 6. Now that any hits, it just counts as 1 hit. That's not 2 hits, just counts as 1 hit. So we have been hit. The next thing we need to decide is whether the Spitfire's been hit or the pilot's been hit. So on a 1 to 3, the pilot's been hit, and on a 4+, the Spitfire's been hit. We roll the dice and it's a 6. So the Spitfire has taken damage. We're going to mark off this hit box. So we've taken 1 hit. So we shade that in. We've taken 1 hit. Now, if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, we then start taking critical damage, which we'll look at in a minute. So the German fighter has done its action. We now can move to our action dice. And obviously the first thing we want to do is try and fire at this guy. So a 1 is a fire dice, a 3 is a fire dice, and 6s are fuel dice. So we don't need to use those. We only use those if a fuel check comes up on an event check. So I've got 2 fire dice here, and also a 5 is a defend dice. So if we had any 5s, we could have cancelled that hit from the Spitfire, but unfortunately for us, we didn't. So to fire at the ME-109, I'm going to discard this fire dice, this one, and I'm going to fire at him. Now he's at long range, his defense is 7, and it's a +2 for long range. So we need a 9 on 2d6. So we're going to roll the dice, and we've rolled a 6. So we've missed the shot. Anytime we miss a shot, the fighter moves to the next box. So he's coming to medium. So we write ME-109, defense 7, and every time we miss, they open fire. So again, needing 5s because of that weather in the zone, the cloud. Rolls, and no hits this time, which is good for us. Now, I want to fire at him again. I do have a fire dice here, so I'm going to discard it. I need a 7, and because he's at medium range now, it's a +1, so I need an 8 on 2d6. I roll, and we've got a 10, so we've destroyed that ME-109. So we simply put a line through the ME-109, or you can use a rubber to show that it's been killed. Now, if that was an ace, we would gain 5 points, but it was just a green pilot. Now, the next thing, if we had a 2, which is a pilot dice, a 2 is a pilot dice, we could move to the next zone because we're clear of fighters in this zone. However, we don't have a move dice, we only have fuel dice. I can't use those fuel dice for anything, so I have to re-roll my action dice. Now, when I re-roll my action dice this way, I have to do an event check again. If I had used up all my action dice, actually managed to use all of them, then I wouldn't have to re-roll an event check. So we're rolling, and really we need a 2. We roll, and we do get a 2. We get a 5, a 3, a 6, and a 5. But remember, we've got to roll an event check again. So rolling, we've got an 11. Now on 11, if we just flip through here, 11 to 12 is a dogfight. Now what happens there is we are attacked by an ME-109, and I'm just going to put D in there to show that it's a dogfight. Now how a dogfight works is the ME-109 rolls 4 dice, and we roll 4 dice. So, first of all, the ME-109 rolls 4 dice, and he needs 4 pluses. Weather is ignored because obviously a dogfight, the ME-109 is sort of tailing us, we're all tangled up. So, they're needing 4 pluses. They roll, and in this example doesn't get any hits. So let's just re-roll that. Okay, he's got 2 hits. So he's got 2 hits. We now get to roll 4 defense dice. If we match any of the hits, we can cancel them. So I roll. I've got a 4. That 4 matches this 4. So I can negate that hit. I don't have a 5. If I had a 5 here, I could cancel that hit. I don't have it. So a hit goes through. Now, if a hit goes through in a dogfight, you don't check to see if it's the Spitfire or the pilot. You go straight to critical damage. And these 2 lower boxes are critical damage. And you shade in 1/4. So just shade in 1/4 like that. If we take any more, we would go fill up this quarter. When a whole critical symbol is full, you move to the next one. Now, if both of these symbols are full, the Spitfire's been shot down. After a dogfight, this guy flies away. So that's done. Now, the zone is clear of fighters now. You can never move unless the zone is clear of fighters. We have a pilot action dice, a 2, so we're going to use it. And we're going to move to zone 2. So we mark in there S for Spitfire. The first thing we do is roll for weather in the zone. And a 5 again, it's light cloud. If it was a 6, it would be heavy cloud, but it's a 5. Then we need to do an event check, and you notice how I haven't had to re-roll my action dice for moving to a new zone, because potentially we can still use these. So rolling an event check, I roll, it's a 7, we know that's enemy fighters. So enemy fighters coming in, what pilot skill is he? He's a 4, so he's a veteran. So this time comes in at long range, ME 109, V for veteran, and defense 7. He rolls 3 dice, needing 4s, but it's light cloud, so he now needs 5s, but he gets a +1 because he's a veteran. So basically he just needs 4s. And he gets it. So remember, it just counts as 1 hit. Now, luckily for us, we have 2 5s, which are defend dice. So I'm using the defend dice to ignore that hit. Now, we're going to use a fire dice to fire at this ME 109. So we discard the 3. He's a defense 7, +2 for long range. We need a 9. Note, we've missed. So again, he's going to move to medium range. So ME 109, veteran 7. He opens fire again, needing 4s. Gets it, just counts as 1 hit, remember. And luckily for us, we have another defense dice, which we can use. So we've cancelled that hit. Now, we couldn't use the 6 for a fuel check. So we now have to re-roll our action dice and re-roll an event check. So rolling. Oh, that's good. We've got a pilot dice there. That was a 2. We've got 2 5s and we got 2 fire dice. So having to re-roll an event check, and we've rolled a 4, which is nothing. So nothing of note. That means nothing else happens, but we still have a fighter at long range, so we can't use this movement dice. So we'll fire at him with this one here. Now, the other thing to note is that once per zone, we can use our wingman, and we're going to do that now. So I'm going to mark here. I'm going to use my wingman to give me a +2 dice roll modifier when firing at this German fighter. But we can only use a wingman up to zone 5. You never get wingman support in zone 6. So we're going to fire. We've discarded the fire dice. We need a 9, but we've got a +2 on this dice roll because of our wingman. We roll 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Bang. He's destroyed. Don't get any points because he was a veteran. So he's gone. Now, that fighter means that he's been killed, means that this zone is clear. We're going to use the 2 now to move to zone 3. So we're getting closer to our intercepting those bombers. So again, I mark zone 3 there. I'm rolling for the weather in that zone, and it's a 5, so it's light weather again. It's light cloud. And now I'm rolling an event check. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is fighters. Now let's just say we rolled something else. Let's say we rolled a fuel check, okay? So if I just show you here, you have nothing of note, fuel check, enemy fighters, and dogfight. So a fuel check means if we have a fuel action dice, which is a 6, say one of these was a 6, we can use that to pass our fuel check. In this example here, we don't have a fuel check dice, so I have to mark off one of these fuel circles, like so. If all 3 of these fuel circles are marked, then we've run out of fuel, and the mission is over. So that was unlucky for us. Now, nothing else is in the zone. There's no fighters. We don't have any other dice we can use. We can't fire at anything, and we can't defend. So in that instance, we're re-rolling our dice, which forces an event check again. So that's a pretty good roll. So 2 3s, 2 2s, and a 3. That's a very good roll. So event check, 4 5 6. Now that is a fuel check. So we haven't got a fuel check dice. So this is going to be marked off here. So this is pretty dodgy here. We need some 6s. So we can move to zone 4 now, because zone 3 is clear of fighters. Now zone 4 is Big and Hill, and we are attacking the bombers. We don't do an event check when we reach the zone that we're trying to intercept bombers. We roll a dice to see what type of bomber we're intercepting. A 5, which is a Heinkel 111. So if we just look here on the chart, a Heinkel 111 is a 4 to 6 is a Heinkel 111, a 1 to 3 is a Stuka. Stukas are easier to shoot down, Heinkels are harder. So what we do is we roll 5d6, and any 5s or 6s we will destroy a Heinkel bomber. If it was a Stuka, we'd be destroying them on 4 pluses. So here we go. We roll, and we only got 1. We killed 1 Heinkel. So just for the example, let's say we rolled it and we've killed 2. We've killed 2 Heinkel bombers. We get 5 points for each of those. So that's 10 points. I'm going to mark it up here in the morale score. So that's 2 Heinkel bombers shot down. Now, we simply need to get home, but we have to roll an event check in zone 4. We roll it. 4, 5, 6, 7 enemy fighters, and it's a 2. So let's say it's an ace. Let's say we rolled a 6. So we've got an ace coming in at long range. We write ME109, A for ace, and defense 7. He's going to fire his 3 dice, and it's like Cloud, but he gets a +2. So he's basically hitting on 3s, and he does get a hit. We don't have a defend dice, so we're going to roll to see if it's the Spitfire or the pilot. It's the Spitfire. Let's say it's the pilot for this example. The pilot marks a wound in these boxes here. He's taken 1 wound. Now if he takes 5 of these wounds, he moves to critical wounds. And when he takes critical wound, next time you take a wound, he gets critical wound. If he takes 4 critical wounds, then he's been killed, and the game is over. So that's how the game works. Now I would attack this ME109 with my action dice, and potentially be able to move and not have to re-roll an event check. You will find there are times when you have more than 1 fighter in a box, and it can get quite chaotic, but I feel that captures the essence of Spitfires and Messerschmitts tangling up with each other. So if we get back to zone 1, we roll an event check. We need to clear any fighters in that zone, and then we've completed the mission. Once you complete a mission, you need to total up your victory points. So let's just show you. So victory points, if I can find it. So victory points are here, German bomber production. So depending how many victory points you score will determine how much you reduce German bomber production by. So there's 30 points here. At the end of 10 missions, it needs to be 10 or less for German bomber production. If you get to mission 7 and it's 10 or less, then you've won. You don't need to play any more missions. But as you can see here, if you scored 40 victory points, which is very unlikely, you'd need a really, really lucky good game. You'd -4. You minus points by -4. Normally you're going to be minusing -1, -2, something like that. And for scoring your victory points, you're going to be getting 5 points for each bomber you shoot down. You get 10 points for completing a mission, and then you will receive 5 points for each ace you shoot down. However, for each full critical symbol, so if you had one of those full critical symbols marked in, you would -5. Then that's your total, and you can work out your total you've got there. So that's how the game plays. It's pretty simple, but it's a thing of, can we get there in time? Can we get back? And getting enough fuel dice. You're wanting to roll 6s in case you need a fuel check. So there's a few ways you can, the mission can end in failure. Fuel, pilot shot down, or the Spitfire shot down. So that's how the game plays. And there's plenty of charts in the back of the book for you to play lots of more than 10 missions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little look. Yeah, and I appreciate everyone's support. So this is just a basic look. And any questions, make sure to message me or look on Board Game Geek, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching. Cheers.